What is up, Rad Potential YouTube? Welcome to today's video where we have some epic, awesome stuff going on the rally car. You guys aren't supposed to be seeing this piece yet, but we've got the new carburetor for the rally car and it is mounted. Now, I mounted this thing up last night in order to kind of figure out and plan, because when you order a Weber that's not from Racing Beat or from Mazda-Trix, or I guess even the ones from Mazda-Trix, if you order one that's just the generic 48 IDA like I did, fortunately I was able to find a brand spanking new one. But when you order one of these, they don't come set up for a rotary, so you have to figure it out yourself. And that means doing some sort of throttle cable attachment. We've got to modify the Racing Beat manifold down here so we can hook up our booster. We've got to set up the fuel system. You know, this car was EFI before, so we got a Carter pump coming. We've got a new regulator coming with the gauge, the whole deal, to set this thing up for a carburetor. The other thing we have to set up is that this carburetor, right, most of your downdraft IDA stuff, whether you get an Impy or a Weber, is going to be jetted for a Volkswagen Beetle. Okay, it's going to be jetted to run 2 carbs or 1 carb on like a 1600cc flat 4, or if you're cool, you have like one of them big boy 2200cc ones that does wheelies. Anyways, we got to change the jets. So I dug out all my Weber carburetor jets, things we have to change, little bungs we're going to use for the booster, main jets, spare emulsion tubes, this, that, and the other. That video, as far as the jetting, will be its own thing, okay? Setting up an IDA for one of these cars is something that you guys need to kind of, learn, and I didn't want to put it in this main video here. So we are going to change the jets. We're going to start with, I think what I say, a 205 main jet and a 195 air corrector, or vice versa, and I'm waiting on some F4 emulsion tubes to come in the mail. This carburetor has 37mm chokes in it. Most of the rotary people that have like ported 13Bs will run 40mm chokes. I'm going to leave the 37s. It's not that big of a deal. This is actually going to give you a better throttle response out of the hole. Your off-idle throttle with a smaller choke will be a little better, your transient stuff. So that's what we're setting this one up for. Like I said, Carter pump coming. We've got a really sweet air filter assembly coming for this, and then I'm also going to make a clear cover for the air filter. So if you imagine, this is like a typical Weber style, air filter, which this one's actually too small. But you'll see the IDA filters will be bigger, but that's going to sit right here around the stacks, and I'm going to build a spacer so I can set the clear plastic thing up higher, give more room for some stabilized airflow into the stacks, and then we will also, gotta show this off, guys. It looks sick. One of the other things that you'll need to do, like I said, for fuel system is just what I'll point out right here. This is an adapter to remove the banjo bolt style fitting, which is this deal that comes on a Weber, to be able to convert it to a -6. So we're going to be setting it up with something similar to, this is from my DCOE setup, but there'll be a fuel pressure regulator chilling over here on the firewall, feed and return lines running, a little gauge, everything ready to rip. So get super stoked for the Weber. It's finally come for the rally car, and I want to give you guys, in addition to dropping this, still waiting on parts, we'll get the actual this thing running stuff, but I want to give you guys a quick little rundown of the other things that we got going on here that I'm working on. So I want to wish all of you, or hope you guys all had a wonderful Thanksgiving over the past weekend. And I've loved all the support on my teardown video for this REW. So generally, I don't work on engines or cars for other people, okay? With all of the Weber stuff happening, the rally car still obviously sitting here, not sold yet, we needed some extra cash to get some stuff done. So I took on a customer engine from one of my local buddies. This is a REW, as you saw in that other video, and we're getting it cleaned up. So last night I spent some time cleaning these rotors, made these things look all nice and fresh. We got all the seal grooves cleaned. We got all the side seals and springs, and this, that, and the other inspected. We're going to be replacing most of this stuff. So I've got to clean the rest of this stuff up. If you watch that video, Let me know in the comments below how detailed or what questions you guys have about installing, or I guess not really installing, but assembling the rotary engine. So I'm going to make a list of those questions. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to film a long video about putting this engine together and try to answer all of your guys' questions in that video. So comment those below. That video should be coming out in the next week or two once we get everything stacked up to, I guess, stack this engine. The next thing, which you saw, and this, I apologize, the videos have been a little all over the place, but we have an engine here for the RX-8. So those of you who are new or haven't seen my RX-8, I have a 04 Nordic Green RX-8. It looks pretty sick. Got it for really cheap. Kinda has low compression on one rotor. The engine still starts and runs, but I have a misfire at like, 8,500 RPM. This is a good compression engine. So mine was low compression on one rotor. It made like 55 or 60 on the front, 95 on the rear. This one makes 90s all the way across. But as you saw, the bell housing stuff was all jacked up. So I have a little bit of work to do to this engine, weld a washer on it so the starter fits, and then we'll put a new oil pan gasket and new rear main, new front main in this, and that'll go in the RX-8 soon. So same thing below, RX-8 peoples. If you have questions on doing an engine install into your RX-8, drop them below. Make sure to cover that in the videos. The next bit, I guess we'll skip that car for now. We'll go talk about Little Stu for just a second. So, Little Stu, the blue RX-7, that project, one, it's been cold. Two, it sits outside. So I haven't been able to necessarily muster up the wherewithal of my cold hands to work on this thing. But we are in the process of getting the brakes sorted out for this car, so brakes and clutch. I'm hoping that I can use the master cylinder and the clutch hydraulics that are on it, but if not, I keep spares here. They fail all the time, and I have the master cylinder from my silver car to be able to put on this as well if I need a master cylinder, right? That one's good. This one can use it. This car has small bearing brakes in the front, okay? I had been hoarding a lot of GS LSE front ends, and I didn't really have a lot of these small bearing brakes laying around. So we're going to be taking some parts off the 99 car to put onto here. So it's kind of made that process just a little bit tougher. And then DJ is also working on sourcing interior stuff for this. But this car does run, does start, does do everything it needs to do with that regard, kind of ish. So I got to tune it, but nothing too crazy there. The other thing I haven't really done, like I said, it's been cold. We need to go do some more driving. The white car's super good. So the next bit, coming back to the 99 car down here. Okay, so this is my 1984 Mazda RX-7 GS LSE. That is about the epitome of not a GS LSE. So it has a Bridgeport 12A, big Weber. It's got 4x110 suspension on it from my silver car. And it's kind of, sitting over here in the neglect pile. But that doesn't mean we're not going to work on it really soon. Okay, so if you're catching on with the list, we're going to finish up the carb install and get the rally car buttoned up. That's like one video once all the parts show up. The blue car just needs the brakes done, and then that car will actually go in the shop. My Corvette is actually going to the body shop next week, so the basement will be free for the rally car to go in there. So there's kind of this whole cycle of moving stuff around, right? This car is coming up after the blue one. And you might ask, well, weren't you going to work on the rotary truck project? Well, yes, we were, but Calvin, who's the owner of this truck we're building it for, oh, the dog found something crazy. Squirrel? Probably. Anyways, so Calvin, who we're building the convertible tube chassis rotary truck for with Pontiac stuff, is actually building a new shop at his parents', like he bought some property and is building a shop. So he's wanting to put this project on hold for a little bit, which means we get to work on this. So this car get stoked for, because this is going to be the fix your bin rot on your RX-7, the learn everything you guys need to learn, and ways to make the rear suspension on these cars work really well. Okay, so we're going to go through the Group C modifications that the guys down under do. We'll go through some of the stuff that I've learned from the Ford Escort Rally guys, which is setting up a well articulating parallel 4-link, you know, with a Watts link, etc., etc. We'll also go through on this car the best or most effective, okay, joint style, whether it's a Heim joint, whether it's poly bushings with holes drilled in them, whether it's stock RX-7 links. Okay, so we'll go through all of that on this car, because this car is pretty much going to get the entirety of the rear cut out of it and redone. So we'll start by just fixing bin rot, and then we're going to cut all that work back out and redo the 4-link stuff, and then we'll probably cut all that work back out and then set it up with like a 3-link or something, and do like a Ford axle. So this will get kind of just worked on all summer, if that makes sense. But get stoked, because this one should be fun. I debated on, I have another FB chassis that's a slick top back in Indiana, and I was debating on taking that one and starting with all that work. But since we do need to do a video fixing bin rot, we're going to use this car to do it. So get fired up. This car will end up being 5 lug and a balanced 12A to run a ton of RPM and use that big Weber. So with that, guys, I'm stoked the carburetor's here for the rally car. I'm fired up that this thing looks super sick down in here. We've got a couple bits to tidy up on it, and then this rig will be ready to be one of yours. So I'm hoping to, like I said, if this thing's fired up, we're going to try to take it to Cars and Coffee this weekend. And then also, if we get it all good and dialed and the carburetor's stout, we will be getting this thing submitted to bring a trailer. So I think when I sold my last car on there, it took about 4 to 6 weeks before the auction went live. So I see that they're much busier, plus talking to the people around that whole website, it's probably going to take 6 to 8 weeks to go live on there. So look for this, you know, you guys that follow along on the channel, but look for this to be coming across the block there, probably like the end of January. So get fired up for that. I'm stoked for what we've got planned here in the next couple weeks. It's super busy, and I was happy to step away from work for a little bit this afternoon, come home, get this video filmed, get something out for you guys, because work's pretty busy too. So we are cranking it up around here, and I'm excited to have you guys all along, and thank you guys very much for the support. If you guys do have questions, detailed questions, things, this, that, and the other, we're building a strong community over on Patreon. Would love to see you guys jump over there and show some support as well. That is the best way. If you have questions that you need answered for me that I didn't answer in a video, on there when people message me to ask questions, the patrons, I will make videos specifically answering their questions and upload those only to Patreon, as well as they get to know other things, you know, the typical put more on Patreon, the back behind the scenes detailed stuff. So would love to see you guys support over there as well. But thank you guys very much for watching this video. We will see you guys in the next one. Keep it rad. Buddy. Come on. You gotta say goodbye. Peace, guys.